musician, a music hall performer named Archie Rice. And the next play was produced jointly with Anthony Crichton, named Epitaph for George Dillon. Epitaph for George Dillon. And the next play produced by him was The World of Paul Slickey, S-L-I-C-K-E-Y. It was produced in 1959. And here the protagonist is Jack Oakham, a journalist. He uses a pseudonym, Paul Slickey, for his gossip column. He is a journalist handling a gossip column in a newspaper. He is originally named Jack Oakham. And he had adopted a pen name, Paul Slickey. And he finds his job increasingly difficult for him. And his own married life is on the way of a breaking. The story of the journalist named Jack Oakham, who adopted a pen name, Paul Slickey. And the play was produced in 1959. And in 1961, Osborne came out with a play entitled Luther, L-U-T-H-E-R, Luther. The story of Martin Luther King, the German religious reformer, Martin Luther King. The conversion of Martin Luther King is discussed in the play Luther. Luther was produced by him in 1961. Speaking about the conversion of Luther into Protestant belief from Catholicism. Luther is introduced in the play as a young priest. So on the brim of a conversion and fighting against the evil practices in the Catholic faith, turning to become a Protestant. Luther was the one who started the Protestant movement, and the play was produced by him in 1961. And in 1962, Osborne came out with his play Under Plain Cover. Under Plain Cover. It was a two-act play. And there was one more play produced in the same year, entitled The Blood of the Bambergs. The Blood of the Bambergs. B-A-M-B-E-R-G-S. Bambergs. The Blood of the Bambergs. I told you that John Osborne came out with two plays in 1962. And the plays were published under the title Plays for England. So there were two plays included in the collection called Plays for England. And the plays are Under Plain Cover, and the next one is The Blood of the Bambergs. And both produced in 1962. And both were published under the title Plays for England. So in Under Plain Cover we come to find Tim and Jenny playing the role of a doctor and nurse in a play. And they are found playing various roles in the theatres. And these two are theatre actors, Tim and Jenny. And at a later stage it is discovered that Tim and Jenny are brother and sister. So they become separated. And Jenny gets married also. But she becomes unhappy with the marriage and leaves the man. And again joins with Tim. And this is what we come to find Under Plain Cover. produced in 1962, a two-act play, and the protagonists are Tim and Jenny, two theatre actors, and they are found playing the roles of doctor and nurse in some play, and various roles played by them in the different theatres. And at a later stage, a journalist identifies that they are brother and sister. So they decide to become separated. And Jenny gets married with another man. But she finds that her marriage is unhappy. So she leaves the man and again joins with Timmy. Even though Tim has been her brother. And they are found continuing to live as man and wife, even though they are brother and sister. And the next play included in this collection is called The Blood of the Bambergs. Bambergs, Bambergs. And here the story is very interesting. And Bamberg is a royal family, a British royal family, Bamberg. And Princess Melanie of the Bamberg family is to be married to Prince Willy. So the marriage between Melanie of Bamberg and Prince Willy is arranged. But Willy becomes killed in a road accident. And the marriage seemed to be very crucial because so the future prince must be the son of Princess Melanie. So it seemed very necessary that Prince Melanie should have some heir, someone to follow her. And Willy the prince has been dead in a road accident. And the marriage becomes very crucial. And it is at the time the royal family identifies a man named Russell, an Australian photographer, who looked exactly like Prince Willy. And the marriage has been arranged between Russell, the Australian photographer, and Melanie of Bamberg. And at a later stage, it is discovered that Russell, the Australian photographer, actually belonged to a royal family. And these two plays are included in a collection entitled Plays for England. And in 1965, he came out with another play called A Patriot for Me. A Patriot, P-A-T-R-I-O-T, Patriot. A Patriot for Me. And here we come to find homosexual elements. The one play with homosexual elements is entitled A Patriot for Me, telling the story of a homosexual named Alfred Redl, R-A-D-L, Redl. And UGC may ask you a question, which play of John Osborne presents the story of a homosexual? The story of a homosexual is found in the play A Patriot for Me, written by him in 1965. And in 1972, he came out with a play called Hedda Gabler. Hedda Gabler. It was actually a play written by Osborne. And so it was a play written by Osborne, adapted from Henrik Ibsen, the Norwegian playwright. The play Hedda Gabler is adapted from Henrik Ibsen, the Norwegian playwright. From the same play, Hedda Gabler, John Osborne produced an adaptation of Ibsen's play Hedda Gabler in 1972. And very interestingly, John Osborne won an Oscar nomination also Osborne won an Oscar nomination also for his screenplay entitled Tom Jones. Very interestingly, the play was adapted from Henry Fielding's novel Tom Jones. Tom Jones was a very popular picaresque novel written by Henry Fielding. So it was in 1963 Osborne produced an adaptation of the novel into a play. And for writing the screenplay, he was awarded the Oscar nomination. So the same play was made into a film, and it was Osborne who produced the screenplay, and he was awarded the Oscar prize for the screenplay written on Tom Jones. And very interestingly, John Osborne produced an adaptation of Oscar Wilde's novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray. That we have to remember that these are the adaptations of another literary works. I told you, John Osborne received an Oscar nomination for his play, for the screenplay written by him for Tom Jones, an adaptation from Henry Fielding's novel Tom Jones. And it was in 1963. Osborne received a Oscar nomination for his screenplay Tom Jones, actually adapted from Henry Fielding's novel Tom Jones. In 1972, he adopted Hedda Gabler from Henrik Ibsen under the same name, Hedda Gabler. And in 1975, John Osborne made an adaptation of the novel of Oscar Wilde entitled The Picture of Dorian Gray. And these three adaptations seems to be very important with regard to John Osborne. John Osborne produced Tom Jones as a play and later as a screenplay for a film in 1963, and he was awarded Oscar nomination. And Hedda Gabler was produced by him in 1972, adapted from Henrik Ibsen, Norwegian playwright. And he produced the play adaptation of Oscar Wilde's novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, in 1975. And Henrik Ibsen was a model for John Osborne. And the adaptation of Hedda Gabler from Henry Ibsen seemed to be a very popular adaptation made by him. And for the adaptation of Tom Jones, he was awarded the Oscar nomination. And interestingly, he produced Oscar Wilde's novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, into a play and later into a film script. In 1991, he produced his last play entitled Deja Vu, D-E-J-A-V-U, Deja Vu. It was a sequel to his play Look Back in Anger. So in 1991, so perhaps the play was put on the stage in 1992, and the play was written by him in 1991, entitled Deja Vu. Deja Vu was actually a sequel to his play Look Back in Anger. So in Deja Vu, we come to find the characters are JP, Jimmy Porter, the same character we find in Look Back in Anger, the angry man. And here in Deja Vu, we come to find the daughter of Jimmy Porter named Allison. The mother has been replaced by the daughter. and the father and the daughter are found quarreling always. And finally, the daughter leaves the father and walks out. And the play is entitled Deja Vu. And the meaning of deja vu is actually a French word. It means already seen. So the play Look Back in Anger is a play that we have already seen. And Deja Vu is its sequel. Deja Vu was written by him in 1991 and it was staged in 1992. And this play was a sequel to his most popular play Look Back in Anger. And here in the play we come to find Jimmy Porter, the central character. The same person we find in Look Back in Anger. And here his daughter Allison is presented as a co-protagonist. And she is actually his daughter. And the father and daughter are found quarreling all the time. And finally she walks out of the house, leaving her father. And Osborne has produced 2 autobiographies also. The first autobiography is entitled A Better Class of Person. It was in 1981. And in 1991, he produced his next autobiography, Almost a Gentleman. There are 2 autobiographies written by John Osborne. The first autobiography is entitled A Better Class of Person. It was produced in 1981. Exactly 10 years after, in 1991, he produced his last autobiography entitled Almost a Gentleman. Almost a Gentleman. And these are the 2 autobiographies produced by John Osborne.